I'm Chief Warrant Officer 4 Victor Pinion, U.S. Navy, retired, telling some stories of my naval career. This one is a continuation of my development of the maintenance supportive infrastructure aboard the USS Midway in B-2 Division when I was a maintenance officer aboard her as a Chief Warrant Officer 2 and 3. 1977 until until the 1st of July 1980. Well, that infrastructure, I've already told you a bunch of it, things that I designed, and each one of these things were, as I noticed a need for them, I would design them. Well, the maintenance control portion of it, which I've been talking about most recently in this section, started off with me making a maintenance list, a night maintenance list for at-sea maintenance, and taking it through the chain of command, through the aircraft handler, to the air boss to coordinate and interface and get permission to take those machines out of service. Well, no one had been accustomed to doing it that way. And also, as I'm collecting the data for my maintenance list, it came to mind that no one had been doing this, and everyone except the aircraft handling officer was resisting doing it. So one of the first things that I did for maintenance control was to design the situation required preventive maintenance system status board. And the big status board mounted on a bulkhead with lots and lots of maintenance jobs, and when they were done last, the date, the shot hit number, whatnot, when they would be due next, how many shots or hits were remaining on that job before it needed to be done again. In any case, much data on this board. It was a major effort to get it updated and to keep it updated, and I required the work center supervisors to update it. Well, they had not been doing that, and they resisted it mightily. And the chief, there was only one chief, and AB chief in the division, resisted it mightily. Just did not support it. He did not like me. He felt threatened by me, I believe, because he resisted everything to me, it seemed like he resisted everything I tried. Well, I had to force the issue and to micromanage each of these infrastructure type things and to make them work when they did work. And as the crew got accustomed to using them and realized that it did help them a lot, it gained credibility for me and for my office. And so I continued to develop these different infrastructure type things, management programs or management systems, just supportive things to support keeping track of maintenance and for doing it and planning it. The first thing I did was planning it with that night work list, the first sea period, which the air boss told me to take that ship to the handler I told you about. Well, he came around as each of the other things developed, the PMS cards, getting new schedules and filling them out, mounting them in the maintenance office, the PMS and corrective maintenance quality assurance program that I designed and implemented that worked extremely well aboard my ship because I micromanaged it. The tool control program, the supply setup, and 3M Master Center that I designed and worked extremely well, and other people noticed that from other divisions what's hot on the outfit and copied it or adapted it to their situations. It worked well. My quality assurance system was working so well, and I had my office. It was just a little old void. Previously was a void that had been made into an office. I had a cable trunk ran along one side of it. I cut the legs off of a couple of chairs because I had taken a couple of second-class petty officers from the work centers and made them full-time quality assurance inspectors. And I personally assigned them to every QA job, to every maintenance job they served as a QA inspector on. And I briefed them. And I had made up study cards or research cards with chapters, verses of different technical publications for them to read, blueprint numbers of blueprints for them to look it up on. They would read the maintenance requirement card. They would be very knowledgeable of that job before they walked out of my office. And they were not to hang over the people's shoulders. But I tasked the work center supervisors, because they were resisting the program, I tasked them as being responsible for making sure that no job went past a QA required step until the QA inspector signed off on it. Oh, they didn't like that. But they did it. They resisted it, but they did it. And it worked very well. Well, an officer from Commodore Pack came aboard during an ADMAT inspection, which is done every 4 years. He saw evidence of my QA program, and he asked the man in the arresting gear who brought him to my office. And I gave him a little dog and pony owner, gave him a copy of it, and he took that back to Lakehurst with him, back to San Diego with him. And they wrote a letter to Commander Naval Air Systems Command in Washington, D.C., praising my little QA program and recommended that something like that be developed for the rest of our technical community Navy-wide. They, in turn, forwarded that on to the Naval Air Engineering Center at Lakehurst, New Jersey, and tasked them with developing or designing the program. Well, I had already designed it. It was working well. But the reason it was working well, it was being micromanaged by me. They contracted it out to a contractor who threw out everything but the preventive maintenance checks on the PMS system and identified specific steps in maintenance requirement cards. They completely threw out all of the corrective maintenance portions. They threw out the researching portions of it. They threw out the portion of having permanently assigned full-time QA inspectors. That wasn't mentioned. They just identified the QA required steps in maintenance requirement cards and stated in there that those steps were to be verified as correct before the maintenance people proceeded on beyond it. Well, I didn't like that. They also didn't issue it with an instruction requiring it to be done. They just implemented it and wrote that into the cards. Well, there's a lot more infrastructure that I developed aboard that ship, but I'll end telling about it here. Most of you benefit from it now in the fleet. Y'all carry on.